Stamping. If you haven't met me before, my name is Sue Turner. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I live in the southeastern corner of Washington State in a small little town called Burbank. And I'm really glad you're here tonight. Thank you for waiting for me. I had a few technical difficulties, which is not uncommon for me if you get to know me. It's a regular occurrence. But I've got it figured out, I think. So I think we're ready to go tonight. And I'm really glad you're here. We're going to do a really fun card using a Christmas stamp, but not as a Christmas stamp, as a just all occasion stamp. And showing you how just by using different colors and some different paper, you can still use those beautiful Christmas stamps that we purchased or that you might have left over from years past. So let me flip us down. I'm going to make a few quick announcements and we will get on with things. Don't forget our product of the month that we're doing now. Stampin' Up! Used to have this big sale in January and February called Celebration, but they're changing things up so that there's a new product released each month. And as soon as you hit the $75 threshold of an order, for only $5, you can get the product of the month. And this month, the product of the month is some really beautiful designer series paper for only $5. Now, designer series paper is, and it's 12 by 12, is usually like $12.95. Okay, so this one is called True Blue. And so it's got Night of Navy and Balmy, or not Balmy Blue. Yeah, Balmy Blue in it. And so there's, of course, two sides to each sheet. And they're really pretty. I might be using this again. I think I've used it before. In next week's, I've got some plans for next week on the 30th. For what we're going to do. But all of these are just really gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous papers. And I always, when I get a pack of paper, I take one sheet of each out of my pack and I slice it up into 4-inch strips. So I have 3 4-inch strips, 4 by 12, because that is really useful to me. Like you'll see this one's shorter, because today I was making a card and I cut like 3 inches off of it to use it to make it. I was working on a card, so that these 4-inch strips are very useful to me. And then I leave the other. There's 2 of each in this particular pack. Then I leave the other ones whole because I might need a different size. But that's just one thing that I like to do with my paper. And that's a picture of the paper. Stampin' Up! Is doing a card retreat. Didn't want that in there. On January 22nd and 23rd, from 2 to 9 p.m. each of those days, Mountain Time. So you would have to adjust for wherever you're at. It'll be 2 to 9 p.m. Mountain Time, but from 2 to 9 p.m. Okay, that's quite a while. And they're making a ton of cards. And the thing is, you have to order this set that goes with all these cards, and it's $165 if you live in the U.S. I'm not sure what it is in other markets like Canada or Europe or whatever, but they showed us that they're going to make 15 cards in those 2 days, and they will be recording this. So if you can't make it on those days or times, that you can watch it at a later time, and they will record it. It'll be on Facebook, but I think they'll put it on YouTube too. I think they said they were going to record it and put it on YouTube also for people that don't have Facebook. So you will be able to get it. So that's really an interesting deal. And the people that are teaching this are all Stampin' Up! Employees. They're designers and professional card makers, so the, the, the classes are done very, very well. If you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you probably got your Paper Pumpkin like I did this month. And I just wanted to show you a few things. I have so many things I want to share with you that I might next week, because I think things will slow down after Christmas. At least I'm hoping things will slow down after Christmas, that I'll be able to maybe make more than one video next week. But all of these card bases are always printed front and back. And so we have the opportunity to make more cards simply by cutting them in half and fitting them, you know, and trimming them up a little bit to make other card bases, more card bases. So they have, you can see that they're using a lot of foliage on this. They send us, these are, I don't know if you can see, these are die cut for stamping and stuff like this. And then they have these other die cuts, and these are all images, and these just pop right out. They're already die cut for you. These are some more card bases, and again, you can cut them in half or use them as is. There's vellum, and it's already cut out, and this is the last card base. Now, it also comes with, I'll show you the, oh yes, and it comes with some, oh, these are beautiful. These all have copper metallic on them, and these pop out right too and make the cards. And the envelopes are decorated already for you. They're just gorgeous, just gorgeous. These are the stamps that come in the set. There's a set of stamps always. And in your first Paper Pumpkin box, you'll get a block. So save that. And or you probably have your own blocks you might like to use. Anyway, it says, "Dear friend, thank you, miss you. The little things you do for me mean so much." And then "miss you so much" goes together. "You make me feel loved," and then you have a few stamped images that you can use on your cards. It always comes with directions. Here are the stamps that go with what I just shared with you. They're just kind of hard to see because they're clear. They always send you directions, very specific directions, and the directions even include where to put the tape, where to put the stickies, you know, all the stuff. And they show you what the cards, you know, one way to do the cards. And lots of people, including me occasionally, do alternates with these cards. So these are how they're designed and all the elements, but you can take these elements and do whatever you want with them, you know, and you can just go to town with this. And this set looks to me to be super, super versatile, and like you can make a lot of different cards a lot of different ways. This is one of the things, like my granddaughter loves Paper Pumpkin, and when she comes over, she wants to know if I have a new Paper Pumpkin kit that she can make a card or two, you know, because she's always got a family member, a friend, or whatever. They also include, in every Paper Pumpkin, they give you some embellishments. If you need some tear and tape, they send tear and tape, so they sent that. If you need dimensionals, they'll send dimensionals. They send you an ink spot, and this month it's Night of Navy. Okay. So that is our Watercolors in Bloom Paper Pumpkin that, if Sue gets her act together, she'll make a video on that next week. I've got like at least 3 videos I want to make next week. That's probably a little, for me, a little challenging. Don't forget to look at the Last Chance products. There's some things in my list today. They're in my description that I wrote. They're Last Chance products, and that means when they're sold out, they're not going to make them again. They're retiring them. So Look under your specials tab for your last chance products. And these were not added today. That was something I wrote a while ago. They were added like 2 weeks ago. So not today. But they're always adding something new. And don't forget to look at online exclusives because they always have new stuff. They're always adding new stuff to the online exclusive store. All right? And that brings me to my specials for this week, or this month, excuse me, for December. Of course, at $20, you start earning your own Stampin' Rewards, 10%. At $40, you get 2 sets of die-cut labels. And these are the die-cut labels. This is one set of die-cut labels that I will die-cut for you. They will come in a little envelope, okay? They'll come in a little envelope like that. I will not paste them on a page like this. This is just so we can look at them. So you get 2 sets of these die-cut labels and your rewards. At the $50 threshold, you still get your die-cut labels and you get a PDF that features Traditions of Christmas with 2 designs on it and your Stampin' Rewards. At the $75 level, you get all of this stuff above, plus you get 2 sets of die-cut words, okay? One in gold, and the gold ones show up really good, really, really good, okay? The white ones that you will get show up best if you take a brush. Don't put any new ink on it. Just use whatever ink you've got left over on it and brush it, and then the words will pop out, okay? And so I've shown you on these other ones. Just don't, because if you put too much ink on it, it doesn't work quite as well. But you'll get a set of these in white, and you can do the colored, whatever color you need to go with your card, and you get a set of gold, okay? And both very useful, right? Yes. Very useful. Okay, so all qualifying orders, remember, before tax, before shipping, before using any rewards points or any of that stuff. And I think that is it for announcements. So I did want to just review quickly what we did last week. We were using the Friendly Foliage cards. We made a little card. It's not a fun fold, but it had a few dimensions and things like that. And after I made the card last week, I put some pearls on it because I forgot to do that last week when I was with you. So I did add some. These are actually gray pearls, but they looked really good against the Night of Navy. And just the cutest little cards. I used Night of Navy, I used Crumb Cake, I used white, and I embossed it. And then I used some more Night of Navy, then I used some of our True Blue, and then I used the Friendly Foliage cut out, stamped and cut out. So that's what we did last week. And this week, we are going to make a fun fold, and I've got a few examples here of the fun fold. And hopefully I won't forget to put the gems on. Anyway, I did it a few different ways, and I think I've kind of narrowed down the way I like it. So this is the fun fold. It opens like this. Okay, and that slips under there because we're just going to put it a little bit of tear and tape or over here to adhere that. And I used, it says this is crumb cake on the package, but it really isn't crumb cake. It's more basic beige. This paper, Perennial Lavendar, which I have linked below, is in our annual catalog. It is still available. And I used Christmas Greenery, which is on the last chance list for only $18. The stamps are. They must be out of the dies because I could not find them anywhere. So I have my stamps all on blocks right now, but the stamp set is on the last chance list. If you didn't get it before, you could get the stamps, and I'm going to show you some ways where you don't have to die cut it. Okay, you can. There's some alternatives that are pretty easy with no fussy cutting or anything. And then I used, which is on the last chance list too, this is the Glass and Garden embossing folders, and I used the garden one, and then they had the glass one too. I used this to emboss. So last chance list, $8.10. So that's gone down a little bit in price. I used Everyday Arches. I just used the dies. Okay, I just used the dies on some of these examples. I didn't use and I think the stamps are gone, but you can still buy the dies, and they're not on the last chance list. And then I used a few words from Branching Out from this die set, which is also kind of a Christmas set, but not really. I mean, this is a very versatile set. These are just little pine boughs, you know, which can go for winter and do a lot of different things depending on how you're doing them. So those are the items that I was using. On some of my examples, I used Beautiful Pattern Embossing Folder, and on one of them, I think I used Dotted Circles embossing folder. So on this one, this particular one where I used Crumb Cake, which ended up being a little bit too dark for my taste as far as going with this color of Crumb Cake back here. I would use basic beige if I had that to do over again. Okay, and I stamped my message first full strength, and then I stamped off with the same image that I used here, same exact image. I just stamped off, and so second generation stamping, so it looks like it's behind the words, and I've done that before, and I think that's really effective. Threw a few gems on there. This is another one. I like this one a little bit better. This one I used the arches. I think I use arches 4, 5, and 6, and I count from biggest to smallest. Okay, so number 4 is the 4th largest one. And I used Designer Series paper back here, which I liked better, but I didn't like the arches as much. But I have another card where I put a plain background, and I didn't like, see, I used Crumb Cake here, and I didn't like the way it printed, because it dulled the colors. I mean, you can see how the colors are much brighter on white than they are in the Crumb Cake. And so I definitely liked stamping my image on white better than I did on Crumb Cake. So I learned there, again, what I liked and what I didn't like. On this one, I like this one pretty good. And there's Pretty Peacock in this paper, and so I used some Designer Series paper back here, and I did emboss it with the Glass and Gardens, and I used the garden one, and I embossed the garden one on here. It didn't. It's kind of a skinny one, so it didn't emboss the entire thing, but it's okay because it slips under here, and you can still see some embossing. So I like this one better. And I liked using the white because it stood out, and I popped it up on dimensionals on that one. And on this one, I use Floral Charm, which is on the last chance list too, I believe. Floral, oh no, it's on, the dies are on the last chance list. The stamps are out, but the paper, they still have it, and they still are going to make it because they just have low inventory, which usually means the inventory is low, but they intend on making some more of the paper. And I really liked this one, using the Floral Charm. And this particular pattern, this was the front and this was the back, the A side, the B side. And I thought it looked really good, and I used the Glass and Garden to emboss the side panels and this larger panel. And then I colored this one differently than what I'm going to do for you today. I used, on this one, well, on this one, on the other ones, I used stamps, which I'm going to do today. And this one, I used Stampin' blends, coloring. But I didn't like it quite as much. So, like I said, I was refining the process every time I did it. So that brings us to today. Now I do have all these measurements at the bottom of your description, and I'll show you at the end too what the dimensions are. But I started out with Highland Heather, and I had a piece of this paper, and this is the Perennial Lavendar, and there's a lot of different patterns, but I like this one because I like the other side to do my outside panels. Okay, so, and I just kind of cut it strategically when I did that. Okay, you cut it 10 3/4 by 5 1/2. So this is 10 3/4 by 5 1/2, and you score it at 1 5/8, 3 1/4, 7 1/2, and 9 1/8. That's where you're going to do your scores. Okay, I'm going to move these maybe out of my way for a minute. Okay, I've got my paper. So I just had a 4-inch 4 by 12 piece of paper to cut from to begin with. Then I tied a little bow, and it's not Highland Heather. I think it's Fresh Freesia, and this is old ribbon that I have. Yeah, it is Fresh Freesia, but it looks really good with this color because it's in the same color family. So I might put the bow on there. I put the bow on some of the other ones. And we don't have this ribbon, but you can dye ribbon. Take white ribbon and get your Fresh Freesia Stampin' Blend and dye it. I've shown you how to do that before. You just color it and they dry really fast. This I really like because it's kind of like seam binding, so it's very light and easy to fold and color. Here I've stamped some. You'll need a piece of white. I liked the white best, and I also liked it when I stamped it with one of the colors. This is Gorgeous Grape. I also liked it when I stamped it kind of in a color I was going to use. You can use black. This is Basic Beige, which doesn't turn out as good because you can't see it. Black or the color you're going to use, I thought turned out better than not. Now you can also do this and then use your Everyday Arches dies, and if you don't have the die to cut this out, and you can use an arch die and cut it out. You can figure out which size works the best. And that looks like that one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's number 5. and you can cut that out like that. Then you don't have to fussy cut if you don't want to fussy cut. I'm not really good at fussy cutting, so I'm always looking for other ways to get around that, and using some shaped dies usually helps me do that. So I'm going to use this purple one, but I just stamp it on here, and I usually color it when it's on here, but I just wanted to cut it out because it would be easier and take us a little less time to do that, because I'm talking so long about other things, right? My outside panels, I did, it's just, like I said, it's just the other side of this DSP. Okay, I found this one in your Perennial Lavendar, and you might have this because it's been around for a while, but it's still in our annual catalog. These panels are 1 3/8 by 5 1/4, and I did emboss them with the glass and garden with the flower part, and because I like that one the best. Then you need the center. This is going to go on the inside. I'll move this out of the way for now because we're going to color that in a minute with some stamps. This goes on the inside of your card, right there in the middle. It's 4 by 5 1/4. You can stamp stuff on that before you put it in to make sure you get it right, but it fits right in the middle. Okay. Now your left panel, the mat is 3 by 4 3/4, and then the designer series paper, which I did emboss with glass and garden, is 2 3/4 by 4 1/2. So you have those. Then on the right panel, the mat is 3. It's the same width as this one, 3 by 3 3/4. And actually, when you cut this out of a piece of a full sheet of cardstock, you have a 3-inch piece left, and so it's perfect for cutting these panels. It's plenty to do that. So the mat is 3 by 3 3/4, and then the designer series paper is 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. However, today I think I'm going to turn this over and use this side and see how it looks. So it'll go with these. So we'll see how that looks. So that's 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. Okay. So those are all our pieces and parts that we have. And again, I'll show you those measurements again, and they're at the bottom of my description. And I have some gems, and both of these are available. These are Purple Fine Shimmer Gems. They're linked, and they're still on sale. They're not on the last chance list. And these iridescent pearls, same thing, which you can color if you want to. You can leave them white, or you can color them with alcohol markers, your Stampin' Blend markers, and make them whatever color you want. Okay. Which I did on a couple other cards I haven't shown you yet. So, to get busy here, so I've already scored this at 1 5/8, 3 1/4, 7 1/2, and 9 1/8. Already done all that scoring. And you fold, and you need to burnish really well. If you don't have a bone folder, which is the best way to do it, take a scissor and use the end you usually put your fingers in, and use that. That'll work just fine. Okay, and then the other side goes forward. So you are making a mountain and a valley, and on the other side you're doing the same thing. You're making a valley then a mountain. Depends on whether you're looking left to right or right to left. But make sure you really burnish these so they'll stick down. Okay. And I'm going to take my little panels that I cut, and I've embossed them. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard to see. Maybe you can see it. No, you can't see it on the other side. but I've embossed them just, you know, for visual interest. When someone gets the card, they'll be able to certainly tell that. And I'm going to glue these down. And they are embossed, so pretty generous with the glue. Put that down and center it side to side, top to bottom. And the other side. That down. Okay, so there's my basic card right there. Now I want to put my inside in. Remember, which was 4 by 5 1/4, and I am going to stamp. Now, all of these stamps that I have are photopolymer stamps, and if you'll remember, we're strictly going to photopolymer. I mean, they still have some red rubber for sale, but all the new stamps coming out going forward are going to be photopolymer because they can't source the red rubber very economically anymore. So I'm going to use some Highland Heather, if I can find it. There it is. I have this big stack of stamps over here because I've been working on like a few projects. And when I have a big stamp like this, I usually leave the stamp upside down and apply the ink on top of the stamp. And I want to stamp this off on the inside. So I'm going to stamp that. I'm going to stamp it, and I'm going to, got more ink than I wanted right over there, and I don't want that on my paper. Okay, I'm just going to stamp half of this, about half of this on here, and I'm using my Stampin' Pierce mat because I get a better, and I know that's really light, but that's what I want, really light. Okay, because I'm going to put my words on top of that. And I've got my Stampin' Scrub right here that I use. I really love this thing because you can, I'm going to use this again, so I want to get it clean. And I'll just leave this open over here to use, but that's what I'm using. And then I'm going to pick Hello, what do I got here? Thinking of you brings joy to my heart. Oh, that's pretty good, isn't it? Maybe I'll do that one. And I want to get that extra off. So I'm going to put this down here, and this is full strength. Give it a firm press. Thinking of you brings joy to my heart. So that's what I'm going to put on my outside. And I cleaned it on my Stampin' Scrub so I can use that again, and I won't forget, because forgetting is like my middle name. So I'm going to bring this back in, and when I put the part I'm going to write on inside a card, I like to use Stampin' Seal, just regular Stampin' Seal. And I put 3 little strips on there. And center this in here. Okay. So now I can do the rest of my card because now the inside is done. Okay. All right. I'm going to just glue my panels together. And remember, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to put this panel up instead of this panel. I put this panel, the purpley panel, up on all the other ones. But I'm going to try this one and see how I like it. Haven't done that yet. So we're experimenting. See how we like it. Might not like it, I don't know. And this one is not embossed, but it is going to hold our little focal point. And we're going to stamp some colors in there. Okay. And the other one, our left panel, which is embossed, I'm going to put plenty of glue on this embossed panel. And I'm only going to want, I don't want to glue this whole thing on there because I want this card to open. I don't want to glue it shut. So I need to take a look at, I'm going to close this and I'm going to place this. It's not exactly going to be even because I need room for that other panel to be over here. So this one is going to be over here. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to be mindful that this is on the left side, and if I turn it over this way, now it's on the right side. It depends on how you turn it over. But I'm not going to put like a whole bunch of glue on it because like I said, I don't want to glue my card shut. I only want to glue. So I want to make this pretty straight. Needs to straighten up just a little bit more because I got lines there. You can see it. Okay, so that is going to go there. And then I found that rather than glue, this one worked better using some tear and tape because it was skinnier and it'll really stick. So I am going to put my tear and tape on the right side. And I'm just going to place this down here on the very edge on my right side. And this pattern doesn't have an up or a down. I mean, if it did, I'd have to pay attention to that. But this one didn't, but I did pay attention just in case. And always when you put tear and tape down, burnish it so it's really sticking on there. And I found it's easier not to start at the edge, but to start kind of in the middle when you're pulling it up. And it comes up a lot easier. So now I want this to leave, whoops, I want it to be up a little bit higher. Yeah, like that. So now, see, I just wanted that tape down there really good, so it was strong, because I want this left panel to kind of slide under it and stay put. And that's why I was trying to get those burnished down really well. So now all I have to do is color this, and I'm going to do it with some stamps, and put this on with dimensionals. Now you can put a sentiment on the front. This is a fairly general card, thinking of you brings joy to my heart. I could put hello on the front. I pulled Also, oh, this was this was a happy birthday. You know, you could put a sentiment on the front. And I think I might have some paper in here to do that. We'll see. Anyway, so in this stamp set that is available still, they have the bow, they have the brushy part, they have the leaf part, and they have the petal part. So I'm going to use some Pretty Peacock and Lost Lagoon. Now Lost Lagoon's not in here, but they have Pretty Peacock really light, and that's basically Lost Lagoon. So I found that worked pretty good for my leaves. So I'm going to do that one. Those leaves are going to be in Pretty Peacock. The little brushy ones are going to be in Lost Lagoon. And then my flower and my bow are both going to be in Highland Heather. Okay. So we'll see how good I am today. I got to get my head right over this to even begin to try to get it in the right spot. And it's actually a little easier to do before you cut it out. But I was living dangerously, so not too bad. Okay. Clean that off. Then I'm going to do my little flowers. And it does dry lighter than what it is going to look like right now. Got a little bit of glue on my hands. The lady that does my nails, she goes, "What do you do? Your nails or hands are always a mess." Yeah, some occupational hazard. Okay, so I try to get this right over the flower. And all three of these are the same. Sometimes you'll find the stamps that are not the same. And like I said, I tried coloring with my Stampin' blends, but I didn't like it quite as well as these stamps, because I guess the stamps do it not quite as dark, and I liked it better. Okay. So my brushy parts I'm doing with Lost Lagoon. And we should close Highland Heather before I stick my arm in that. It's always a possibility. So, little Lost Lagoon, just for the brushy parts. You can see this goes really pretty fast. And remember, I stamped it in Gorgeous Grape, which I like better than black or a lighter stamp. And that. And the last one is Pretty Peacock, because that's definitely in this paper. There's a lot of Pretty Peacock in here. You can see that's just a little darker than the Lost Lagoon. Sorry if my head's getting in your way. I'll get out of your way in just a second. And there we go. Need need a drink of water. My voice. Throat's getting pretty dry. Okay. So that was my color palette. And I'm going to bring this back in. This slips under there. This is going to go in here. It doesn't fit exactly. It's just a smidge big, but it's well within the confines of the card. So it's just fine. That way it is. So I'm going to grab some of my handy dandy dimensionals, and I love tweezers to use dimensionals. So much easier for me. I don't know about you guys, but I love tweezers. I do classes at the retirement home where my daughter works, and those old ladies like tweezers too. So I'm not the only old lady that likes tweezers. Don't really need that one. Put one down there. Okay. I think that'll be fine. It's funny, my daughter is not the activities director at the retirement home, but she doesn't like what the activities director does. So she actually is supposed to be selling the apartments or whatever she does, but she's very crafty, and so she's always bringing in craft stuff for them, and they those ladies love it. They love it, you know. So look at that. Isn't that adorable? Now I believe we need a bow. I believe we need that bow. And I already tied this on my bow jig because you and I both know that I'm terrible at tying bows. So I'm just going to get a glue dot. And I'm going to stick the glue dot where I want my bow. I want my bow way up there. And then I'm going to stick my bow on. Then I'm going to get some of my fine, what are these called? Purple Fine Shimmer Gems. Remember, we still have those. And I'm going to put some shimmer gems on here. I think the light ones and the medium ones would look good. Oh, that little glue dot went to the side. Sometimes scissors or tweezers work better for these, because you got to kind of slide them off, and then you got to keep a hold of them. And I'll put one over here. Okay, so we have some, you know, I really do like this paper behind the flowers because it really lets the flowers stand out more rather than this other paper, the other side of this paper, because of the pattern. The flowers kind of get lost a little bit. I mean, you can see them, certainly, but they kind of get lost a little bit when you have it on this side of the paper versus the check side. It's just, and it goes with the panels on the sides and everything. So, isn't that cute? I have a couple other things to show you. So the ones I already showed you, of course. Then I made some that weren't this particular fold. They were just a typical fold, like This is the one I used, what's it called? Dotted circles. I used dotted circles on this, and I just put, this is just a card base. That's all it is. There's no fancy fold, no fun fold on this, but I did put the ribbon on it. And I put the check side over here, and then I ran just the top through my embossing machine. And the way I did that is I just put this in there that much, just right to the folded line, and ran it in like that. Because with an embossing folder, you always run it in with the fold first. And so I embossed the front, and then I cut, this is basically the left panel, and then this is arch number 5, and then I stamped, and then I used my Stampin' Blends to color this too. And again, I didn't like it as well, that kind of coloring. But I did put the pearls on, and I colored them with Highland Heather and put a bow on it. So you can see from this example that if you don't have the dies, if you didn't get them before, because they're gone now, you could just use an arch, and it still looks like really good. And it would look really good on this other fold too. And then this one, I didn't put the background, the panel. I just made a basic, very basic, and this is just, 8.5 by 5.5 card. But I did a big mat in the back, and this mat would have been 4 by 5.25, and then this inside mat was 3.75 by 5, and then this is a smaller. This one was number 5. No, this was number 4, and this was number 5. Yeah, because they go down. So I used a smaller one on this one, and it did go off. I would probably use that size again. But this one I stamped it, and I liked it better. But I didn't stamp Pretty Peacock. I stamped some Mossy Meadow and some Granny Apple Green. It looked okay, Anyway, like I said, I was experimenting to find out what I really liked and what I didn't. So actually, the one we made today, this one is my favorite. I like stamping the colors on better than doing the blends. I like having a less distracting paper in the background. This still fits in there just like that. Fits in an envelope. Okay. I kind of like this color. I put Pretty Peacock in the background, but I wish I would have had this check on here, and I would have liked it better. I mean, I still like it, but I would have liked it better with that. Anyway, and then don't forget Floral Charm makes a very pretty card also. All right, so those are our cards. And here are our measurements. Again. So the Highland Heather, or if you're doing Floral Charm, this is Blackberry Bliss. Okay, because that's what's in this DSP. So I always look at my DSP first, and I pull a color out of it that I want to use. And this one I wanted to use with the Blackberry Bliss. So this was Blackberry Bliss instead of Highland Heather, 5.5 by 10.75, scoring on the long side, 1 5/8, 3 1/4, 7.5, and 9 1/8. The left panel in Highland Heather was 3 by 4 3/4, and the right panel was 3 by 3 3/4. And remember, this 3-inch strip will come right off of this, okay? You'll have that left over, and you'll be able to make these 2 panels off of that 3-inch strip. It looks like, in fact, I had one over here to show you. This is what you'll have left over. And you can cut your, and this is 3 inches, and you can just cut your panels from that. Okay. So basic white, you need your inside 4 by 5 1/4, and your focal point for your flower is about 2.5 by 4 1/4, and that you can put an arch on too if you want to, if you don't want a fussy cut, or if you don't have the die for the flower for the focal point. And then for your outside panels, you can use basic beige, crumb cake, which I really didn't like because it didn't match very well, or DSP. I like the DSP the best, using the other side, using this check pattern, which is just the other side of this DSP. It's the B side of it. Anyway, those panels are 1 3/8 by 5 1/4, and you need to cut two, one for each side of the card. Okay. Your designer series paper, I use Perennial Lavendar, and I link that in my description. 2 3/4 by 4 1/2 left panel, which is embossed, and 2 3/4, again, those are the same, by 3 1/2, a little bit shorter right panel. The floral charm would be the same. Remember, it's on low inventory, but it'll probably come back. When it says low inventory, it will probably come back. Right? And you're doing the same measurements as above, just using the Blackberry Bliss version if you wanted to make this one. Okay. And my embellishments were the purple fine shimmer gems, which are linked, and the iridescent basic pearl basic jewels, which are also linked to make this card. So I hope you enjoyed that today. I did want to give you a sneak peek about next week. I have it in here somewhere. Like I said, I'm probably going to have to make more than one video next week because I have so many things I want to show you. I have some fun folds I want to show you with the True Blue Florals. And I want to show you these little folders that I made. I made these for a lot of people. For some of my neighbors, for some of my friends, some women in my small group at church, and for some of my customers that were particularly good customers last year. I sent them a few little things in the mail. So I'm going to show you how to make these folders. And this was my Christmas one. We're going to make, we're going to use these that I just ordered, which this was from a certain brand. They came in an envelope, #1, not a box, and so some of the edges were crunched up, and I wasn't pleased. Anyway, this was a different brand. I'm trying to remember. I stuck that somewhere. I'll link it next week when I do it. But we're going to do both sides with these because it works really a lot better if you have. That's why I put these little ones on there, because the folder works a lot better if there's something else on the other side. And I didn't have enough of these, and well, some of them I did have enough to put one on each side for some people, but then I started running out, and I didn't want to order any more of these because, like I said, they came and they weren't all very good. Some of them I couldn't even use. So anyway, I just went to Walmart and got some little sticky notes and did that and put a stamp there because they were kind of like a Christmas card sort of. But anyway, we're going to work on these folders, and yes, these are different sizes, but they're really easy, and I'll show you next week how I figure out how big to make the folder, because there's just certain things you have to measure, and it's really easy to do. Okay, so we're going to make these folders next week, and they're really fun. They're great for gifts. And turn this up. Thank you for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed this adorable little card we made today. I just think it's so cute. And I hope you liked it. And next week with the folders, and then I might do a second video on a fun fold, because I don't think I can do the folders and a fun fold in one video. I don't know. I might practice and we'll see how long it takes. But then I want to do some paper pumpkin. That might have to roll to the next week. I don't know. We'll just see how. I'm hoping I'll get less busy as soon as Christmas is over, and all the obligations that one has. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas this year. I hope the people that you love get to be with you, and that you have great joy and peace in your household. Anyway, that's my wish for you. Thank you for joining me today.